One of the most common questions I get asked by my clients as an IBS specialist is, but why me? Why do I have IBS? What caused all of these symptoms in the first place? And if you're currently struggling with IBS, I'm guessing that this question has crossed your mind more than once. Now, whilst there is no definitive cause of IBS, in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the 6 most common factors that appear to play a role in the development of IBS symptoms and which can be responsible for the initial flare-up. So if you're wondering, why me? Then I hope that this video will help give you some answers. Let's get started. Hello and welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Jayne, and as a psychotherapist specializing in gut-directed hypnotherapy and CBT for IBS, there are a few common questions my clients ask me. And one of them is, why did I develop IBS in the first place? So let's go through the 6 most common factors. So factor number 1 is developing IBS after viral gastroenteritis, also referred to as stomach flu. So with gastroenteritis, your stomach and your intestines are irritated and they're inflamed. And in the case of viral gastroenteritis, the cause is from a virus such as the norovirus or the rotavirus. It's thought that IBS can develop post-infection because of the persistent low-grade inflammation inside of your gut. And if this happens, it's called post-infectious IBS. Now, factor number 2 is very similar, but this time it's bacteria that is to blame, and this is the most common. So IBS can develop from a stomach bug or gastroenteritis when you have a bacterial infection inside of your gut. Again, persistent low levels of inflammation can trigger IBS to develop, but in addition, an infection in the digestive system may result in injury to the nerves lining your gut. And those nerves are responsible for things such as motility, which is the speed at which food moves down through your bowel, and also for the sensation, which is going to make you feel a lot more sensitive, causing pain and irritation. This can be the case with certain types of food poisoning, in particular a bacteria called Campylobacter, but can also happen after Salmonella or E. coli food poisoning. So how does food poisoning develop into IBS? Well, it has to do with the certain bacteria producing a toxin that can disturb bowel function and can change the nerves in the lining of your gut. Again, this type of IBS is called post-infectious IBS and is more commonly found in women. Interestingly, it's been found that between 6 to 17% of people with IBS who previously had a normal bowel believe that their IBS suddenly came on after this type of infectious illness. And although estimates do vary, studies suggest that around 10% of people who suffer bacterial gastroenteritis develop IBS. Furthermore, bacterial infections such as Campylobacter can also change the pre-existing subtype of IBS. So people who had constipation dominant IBS either change to mix or diarrhea dominant IBS. Okay, so factor number 3 is early life stress. There are numerous studies looking at the correlation between being exposed to stress during early life and the increase in susceptibility to IBS. But why does this happen? Well, research has shown that stressful childhood events trigger abnormal signaling from a protein called nerve growth factor, which initiates a cascade of changes that ultimately leads to the development of irritable bowel syndrome. The finding uncovers a link between traumatic psychological events in childhood and lifelong health repercussions. Moreover, adverse early life events significantly impacts upon the communication pathways between the brain-gut microbiota axis. This axis allows for the two-way interaction between your central nervous system, your brain, and your gastrointestinal tract. With IBS, this axis is seen as dysfunctional. Now, if you'd like to learn more about the brain-gut axis and its role in IBS, then you can check out the video I've linked on the screen right now. So factor number 4, and this is changes in your gut microbes. So recent studies have demonstrated that an imbalance in gut bacterial communities or dysbiosis may be a contributor to the development of IBS. It's believed that changes in your gut flora may contribute to low-grade inflammatory responses, And this can lead to the activation of the gut immune system, which can then affect other factors, triggering the onset of IBS. Changes in your gut microbiota can occur after a GI infection, such as gastroenteritis, and also after taking antibiotics. Both of these things can create changes in the composition of the gut microbiota. In fact, I would estimate that between 10 to 15% of the clients I see for IBS started experiencing symptoms after following a course of antibiotics. Okay, so factor number 5 is post-pregnancy. So pregnancy is a time of major hormonal changes, and these can have significant effects on the gut. In fact, about 25% of women report having digestive issues after childbirth. Unfortunately, women are more likely to develop IBS, and certainly hormones are a big factor. On the note of hormones, many women also find that their IBS symptoms are worse during or after their menstrual cycle. Okay, on to factor number 6, and this is chronic stress. Most of us have experienced the impact of stress on our digestive system. And whether or not you have IBS, when you experience stress, it's not unusual to have gut symptoms, whether this is nausea, tightness in the stomach, or experiencing urgency and diarrhea. Stress and gut symptoms unfortunately kind of go hand in hand because of the close link between your brain and your gut. In fact, more and more experimental and clinical evidence shows that IBS is a combination of irritable bowel and irritable brain. But unlike short periods of stress, for example, presenting to a room full of people or sitting an exam, chronic stress is stress that goes on and on and on. And over time, chronic stress can cause numerous issues inside your digestive system. For example, chronic stress can cause an imbalance of the bacteria inside of your gut, which, as you've just learned, can be one of the factors in developing IBS. Stress and major life trauma are also known to worsen IBS symptoms and can have a marked impact on the sensitivity inside of your intestines, the speed at which food moves down through the bowel, and on secretion and permeability. Many people can look back at stressful times in their lives and connect the dots with when they first started to experience the onset of IBS symptoms. So if you can relate to this, let me know down in the comments. When did you first start to experience IBS symptoms, and can you trace this back to a time in your life? Now, unfortunately, with IBS, your IBS symptoms themselves can trigger stress. And this can very easily lead you into what is known as the vicious cycle of stress and IBS symptoms. This, of course, is a big problem because the more you think about your gut symptoms, the worse they are likely to become. And therefore, the more stressed you become, which leads to worsening symptoms, which leads to more stress, and around you go. So join me in this next video where I talk more about this vicious cycle of stress and IBS symptoms and what you can do to finally get off it and break that cycle. Now, if you're enjoying learning more about IBS and what's really happening inside your digestive system, then make sure you like this video to let me know and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the new videos I release each week. That's it for now. I hope to see you next time.